Hello, everyone. In today's lesson, I will be covering the psychological approach in the short story A Rose for Emily by William Faulkner. To begin, we will focus on three key aspects that provide insights into Emily Greer's psyche, Freud's id, ego, and superego, the symbolic elements included throughout the story, and defense mechanisms used by Emily to navigate through the challenges she faces in her own town. The iceberg theory states that 10% of the conscious mind is visible, or the tip of the iceberg, and the remaining 90% of the subconscious or unconscious mind is the large mass below. Sigmund Freud divided the human psyche into three different parts: the id, the ego, and the superego. And these can be seen all in the actions of Emily Grierson. The id is the primitive and instinctual desires of the psyche. It contains all the unconscious energy that is needed to fulfill a person's most basic needs. The superego is the voice of reason or restraint, the consciousness in combination with the rules we learned from society. The ego, on the other hand, is the rational part of the psyche, the mediator between the id and superego. Throughout the story, Emily's id desires for love, companionship, and attachment. Her attachment to her father, who at the time served as a very dominant figure who shaped the majority of her life, was a primary source of her desires, wishes, and impulses. Following his death, Emily struggled to detach herself from his influence, displaying signs of denial, refusing to let go of her father's deceased body to preserve the little connection she had left of him. Emily also really struggled to detach herself from her companion, Homer Barron, going to extreme lengths in order to fulfill her desire for love. This can be determined as an expression of the id's primal desire for attachment and the struggle to accept the loss of a significant other. Next, Emily can be seen protecting her ego by keeping her personal life safe, hoping to create a false identity to the public. She consciously chooses to keep aspects of her life hidden to the townspeople, having a secluded lifestyle and refusing others to access of her personal space. Her secretive nature can be interpreted as a response to the high expectations set by the community that she believes she has to meet to keep up with her family's name's high status. Another example of Emily's ego is when she refused to pay her taxes. Even with her high status in the community and the financial resources given to her by her family, she refused to pay her taxes, repeatedly saying, "I have no taxes in Jefferson." This ego driven behavior can be attributed to her sense of entitlement. Lastly, Emily is seen following past traditions and expectations set by her family name. She is shunned by the Southern community for having a relationship with a Northerner lower in social status. She expresses a fear of being judged by the community and tries her best to follow traditions and values of the past, and revealing that she is in a romantic relationship with the Northerner would be detrimental to her status, and that is why she keeps it a secret. The pressure to meet expectations of her community takes a toll on Emily. Her superego becomes inflexible, resulting in her to isolate herself, leading to her demise. Next, the symbols of the story allow us to interpret Emily's mind through universal objects. The house of Emily Grierson can be seen as a symbol directly relating to her mind and decaying psychological state. Before Emily's father passed, the house was seen as one of the nicest houses in the community. After his passing, Emily lived alone and her mental state started to decay, as did the house. When meeting at the Griersons' house to discuss a foul smell, the deputation entered, and when they sat down, a faint dust rose sluggishly about their thighs. This can be a symbol of Emily's refusal to let go of her past traditions, her mind collecting dust over the passing of her father. Secondly, Emily was once seen as the most beautiful woman in the community. Roses are seen as the most beautiful flower. Despite their beauty, a rose left unkept begins to decay. The rose symbolizes the decay and deterioration of Emily's mental state, which longs for love and companionship, but is unable to please the eye of the community, leaving her to keep everything a secret. That leads me to my last point. The locked doors in Emily's home can symbolize her hidden secrets and repressed emotions. It represents aspects of her life that she wants to keep locked away from the community. For example, her deceased lover, Homer. By locking certain doors and memories, she attempts to avoid the pain associated with her past. The doors symbolize her resistance to change and let go of the past, serving as manifestations of her unwillingness to adapt to the community around her. They contribute to the story's theme of isolation, decay, and refusal to let go of the past. Next, Emily displays defense mechanisms and coping strategies in the face of conflicts such as anxiety, depression, and isolation following the death of her father. The first is denial. Emily refused to let go of her father's corpse, denying the reality of his passing. This denial protects her from the pain of losing her father and allows her to keep the sense of connection she once had with him. Secondly, Emily represses her desires for companionship, intimacy, and a fulfilling relationship. This repression likely comes from the expectations of the community and her own mental state. By repressing all of her desires, she avoids confronting her true emotions and the potential disappointment that may come with pursuing relationships. Lastly, Emily forces herself into isolation, withdrawing from social interactions, staying in her home, creating a barrier that shields herself from potential emotional pain. Being the last member of her family, she carries the weight of her family's traditions, forcing her to put on a fake smile in a time of mourning to meet societal standards. Thank you for listening.